Well, tēnā koutou, tēnā rā tātou katoa. What a, now I'm going to get emotional, right? Just 2 seconds ago I wasn't emotional. Now I'm going to get emotional as he starts it. But what a really, beautiful atahua are not even enough to describe the session that we've just come from. It is just, yeah, just touched the inside, I think, of each of us. Our nākau, our hene naro, our wairua, our tinana, it was an incredibly, that's what I want to say, session. So, and I think I just need to mihi to you, Carly, and I just admire, our rangatahi and our mokuio rangatahi that are just bringing all this beautiful, amazing wisdom into the space. And it is when those of us that are a little bit more aged, let's say, it's a reminder that there's always this constant learning of mātauranga that goes on. And so just mihi to you, Carly. And now, handing that over to everyone else in their whakaaro and kōrero. But yes, no, mihi aroha, can't even say enough. Kia ora.
I just want to, totally tautoko what you've shared, Toihana. Just a real pleasure and privilege to have been able to welcome you into, our space, Carly. Just wahine atahua, what you have brought to our kaupapa of, Kaimahi Hauora. I think you mentioned during the session this morning how the times that we're living in, and Tuihana, you referenced as well, the layers of tiredness that are out there, I think, for everyone, because of the tumultuous few years that we've been having. And I know especially for our social services kaimahi out there doing the hard mahi alongside whānau, in communities, building on those strengths every day, but it can be hard mahi. And I think what you brought today, Carly, to just create that sense of tau, of settling everyone, and of bringing people together around pūrākau, I think was so powerful. So interested to hear, just a bit about why for you it was, I guess, important to be a part of this and to bring that focus on te taha hine naro and being creative and purposeful in our thinking through pūrākau. Do you want to share a bit of your whakaaro around that?
Yeah, pātai pai tērā. Thank you. Thank you for all the kupu being shared so far. I think it is just really important to me to be sharing these kōrero with as many people as I possibly can. Especially people who are working with our own peeps, with our own Indigenous peoples out here in Aotearoa. I know it's important to reconnect us with these kurahuna, with these gems that were left for us. And I grew up in a time that really was kind of recovering from the hangover of the impacts of colonization on our kōrero pūrākau. So the premise that if it is written, it is law, those kinds of things. And that's kind of what I'm working to remedy, through these ways of distilling our pūrākau, giving people the tools to distill our pūrākau, then means that we can embody them, we can live them, and that nobody can take the power of what that pūrākau can do for you away from you. And I think especially for our peeps working in the community on the ground, it's really important that these pūrākau are at our fingertips. So when they do meet a young Māori, you know, or a tāwhaki type character, or even a tāne mahuta type character, you know, that we have some ways of distilling these moments with each other, and let our kōrero tipuna, our ancestral knowledge, come through and guide us in our mahi. Yeah. So yeah, just wanting to share it with everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned, Carly, there the phrase, the rerenga, kurahuna. Do you just, and that was a big focus of the session today. Do you just want to briefly sort of share, unpack, I guess, a bit of what kurahuna means?
Yeah. So originally I heard the word kurahuna in reference to weavers who were weaving kakahu, who were weaving cloaks. And it was referred to as kind of these little bits of red on the harakeke plant that often were seen as damage on the leaf. You know, it was from either a kind of cut that was done previously, or, you know, like it was just damage that then turns red on that harakeke leaf. But as you strip that green away, as you reveal the muka, there then is this beautiful red that has just dyed that fiber, that muka fiber, that you can get in no other way. It's only through that kind of uncovering of that broken part or that damaged part that you find that red. And so with that in mind, we then started to apply this whakaaro to kōrero pūrākau. You know, those moments and stories that sometimes don't sit quite well with us, or that might, you know, that might consume our thinking when you first get told a story. How you unpack that moment and then find the distilled gem, that kurahuna, is really up to the individual. So that's what kurahuna is to me, is finding what's underneath. For gaming references, you know, if you're a gamer out there on your PS, whatever, kurahuna are really like the Easter eggs in a game, you know, a hidden path or a little life pack that you might not have known was there. Kurahuna are the kind of, yeah, little nuggets or gems that are left for us.
Beautiful.
He pātai.
Beautiful.
Kia ora, Carly. We're just working out our muting system here in this studio. We've had this lovely studio up on the 24th floor, as you could see when Carly was talking about upuku or te ika. So something you said, Carly, about having this at your fingertips, and what I was really aware of through the session is literally how we can have things like the I've now got the kōhatu, thank you, in my fingertips that you brought along for having some pūoro earlier, and how we have these things at our fingertips all the time to creatively bring to life the pūrākau that you were sharing with us, that you were asking us to share from our own place and space. And that Tuihana spoke about a theme that's threaded through all of our sessions so far, about answers and places to find these things coming from within, coming from the breath, coming from where we start, rather than looking outside. And I remember myself going into a hui once that I was quite worried about, and holding on to a kōhatu in my hand, and nobody else saw it, but I had that there, and man, did that get me through that hui. And I just wonder if you want to say a little bit more about pūoro, or how we can do that in our everyday worlds with the hard mahi that all our kaimahi are out there doing.
Yeah, mihi ana mo tau pātai. Thank you for bringing our pūoro into this space. Yeah, pūoro for me are a tangible tool or taonga that connect us to a time past. So it can be anything, you know. Pu oro, oro means sound. Pu again is the gathering or the heaping or the moment of potential. So like Nani Hine Wirangi, Kohi Morgan, she often says that you are your first puoro, you know, that if you don't have toka or flash putorino, ko koe tō puoro, you are your own puoro. So with your breath, you can create all sorts of sounds, and those sounds are endless to us. It's just about the exploration of said puoro. And I often help our people to connect to the potential of puoro by getting them to just find, toka, kohatu at home. Or, you know, sometimes it's a piece of wood that can be a pakuru. You can tap with your finger against your mouth and then it changes the sounds, the oro. Or even right down to ara, that's the pen. That's the rest of the pen. You can play that as a puoro. Let's see, I might trip myself out in one word. Or you could just how that oro, how you as a person with ha connect your ha to an inanimate object creates puoro. And so I think it also connects our people back in with their own creative potential. You know, that there isn't some written scale that you have to learn in order to play our puoro. There isn't some, you know, notes that you have to follow. Give me a G bub. You know, that isn't the kind of premise of how puoro work for us as Māori. It is literally pick it up. How does your heartbeat work with the heartbeat? How does your ha, your breath work with the breath? And then these two pieces make puoro. And then through puoro you can tell lots of stories. This is endless potential. So that's why I always bring them together, pūrākau and puoro, so that way we can have this tangible connection to those stories. Oh, kia ora.
Kia ora. I feel like this kōrero we could talk and have this kind of ongoing, you know, kōrero for at least another 5 or 10 minutes. But I just, again, I really think that the use of the a, u, e, i, o, e, a, u was just incredibly beautiful, and remembering that I am creation and creation is me. And I think that throughout the session today we were just gifted so many taonga. And so again, I just want to mihi to you, Carly. I would like us to just touch on that karakia that you taught us before we finish up. And just where that came from, I think, for you, or is it something that's always been with you? So, yeah. Or is it something that is always with us, but we've just forgotten it, you know, along our journey? Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. That. So the first time I heard our oro, our vowel sounds, and that makeup was in a rongoa wānanga. With a man named Te Hira Paenga, and he came in and he did this thing called a battery pack. Basically, he packed 5 of us into the middle of our porofita, and then an external porofita around us had their hands out like this, and then us in the middle chanted Aweyo, Aweyo over and over again. And that it just completely blew my mind to feel the way that oro resonated around us. And because it also does this to your waha, Aweyo, you know, it kind of brings it down to this from widest to smallest. And those two kinds of sensations in my tinana, just I pahu mai te whakaaro. From there came the idea to really embody that oro. So I wrote it down, aue io, and then I looked at it, and then I saw me, and I saw io. And I thought, holy heck, what have we stumbled across? And so from there, it just became a part of our repertoire, that we tuku this karakia whenever we're in this wānanga space, whenever we're coming into a creative space, to acknowledge the fact that all of us have this taha, taha atua, this ira atua, ira tangata, that we are all of creation, and creation is all of us. And it's been with me ever since. We have a rangi also on the guitar if need be, to be able to teach it to kids, and to be able to teach it to people who don't feel yet comfortable in their meditation space. But just keeping it simple, those vowel sounds. Aue yo, io e au.
Yeah, I think we can. I think, in this world of Western ideologies that we live in, through our colonization, that we can sometimes overcomplicate or tend to look complicated ways because because that's what we're supposed to do. But sometimes it's just getting back to the not the basics, but just the foundational things that brought us to where we are. So when I did the same thing with you, I was like, like I did that. I was like, whoa. And I think, you went like that. And I said, and I think that today, throughout the session, there's been many going off.
Right.
So thank you for sharing your beautiful pūmanawa with us today, and your pukinga, and reminding us all of our pūmanawa and our pukinga and our pūrākau. So I think on behalf of all of us here, and I just want to mihi to Helen too, and to Catherine and the CSI team who work endlessly behind the scenes to make sure that this all works seamlessly, to both Claire and Claire who have been instrumental in pulling this program together, but to you, Carly, for your beautiful, beautiful session. So, and with that, we just wish everyone, right, and we ask everybody to look internally, and internally is an uncomfortable space, but from uncomfortable spaces comes great growth. So, kia ora. Is there anything you'd like to close us off with, Carly, before we close off the recording?
Shall we aue our way out of this? Rawe, kia pakakapia. And so just remembering, we'll go through the round 3 times, and the last we drop the oro, and that tells us that pamutu. Kapai, Hakina. Haputa. Hey, Pai Ora. Ai,